Tell me about your Cybertruck.
Oh, this is the best question of the entire podcast. It's either they love it or they hate it. And I've posted a few videos on like TikTok and on Instagram, and it is so funny to hear how much people just hate it and get pissed that I'm driving something that Elon Musk created and it's a scam. And I'm like, I don't know why people hate Elon Musk so much.
E-commerce is the greatest business opportunity of our generation.
Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Ecom Unlimited podcast. It's your boy Kaj here with my co-host
What's up,
Josh.
everybody?
And today I have a guest that I am very excited to have a conversation with. This is a guy, so we've been selling on Amazon, as many of you know, since 2017. And this is a guy whose YouTube videos I have watched countless hours of. And it was funny because we met in person for the first time at the Miami Sellers Conference this year. And when we were going down, I was telling another one of my friends who was looking to get into the influencer program to watch one of your videos. And I told her, I was like, I don't really fangirl over people, but Trevin, I might just a little bit because of how many of his YouTube videos I've watched. So Trevin, thanks for your time, man.
I appreciate it. And that's an honor. That's an amazing intro, and seriously stoked to be here with you guys.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. So tell us how you got into the whole world of e-commerce. I know you do more than Amazon, but we'll start there.
Yeah, so it was back in 2016. I got married when I was super young. I moved into some of these condos, and this guy across the street had the same exact truck as me, and we kind of hit it off, and we kind of connected there, and he started telling me about what he was doing, and come to find out he owned his own e-commerce brand. He did D2C. He was mainly selling on Shopify, and I was like, hey, I want to do this selling stuff online type of thing. Like, I don't want to get a normal job, and at the time I was actually going to school, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And so he kind of introduced me to the realm of e-commerce, dove into it, started with Shopify dropshipping, and that didn't pan out. And then that led to another friend of mine that introduced me to the concept of Amazon FBA. And what I do is private label, so we build brands, and that was kind of what I started with from the very get-go, just with my background with Shopify dropshipping, finding a product and selling it. And so that was a great, smooth transition to Amazon. And then from there, it was just kind of game on and dove all in. And little by little started to kind of figure it out, tweak things, and get a system dialed in to where now I've launched close to 100 plus products and have done over 8 figures on Amazon. So it's been quite the journey over the last. And I started, my first sell on Amazon was December of 2017. So close to you. Around that time. So it's been a minute, and it's been fun.
Yeah. And it's always really cool to see people who have been in the game and have stuck with it, you know, because a lot of people, and let me not say a lot, it's not like I know everybody, but you see the people who start on YouTube, they do a little bit of Amazon, and then they kind of don't stick with it. And, you know, maybe for good reasons, whatever, not knocking anybody, but it's cool to see someone who's been in this space and been making content, but also been a practitioner for as long as you have. So you said you started with Shopify dropshipping. How long before you made the transition?
I mean, I was doing Shopify dropshipping kind of here and there for probably like 6 to 8 months, and I just could never figure it out. And I actually kind of took a little break for a couple months, and I was like, I don't know what I want to do. So that's when I started working a construction job. I joined a network marketing company, so I was doing an MLM. Like, I was just trying to figure things out. And then probably a couple months after kind of pausing the Shopify dropshipping is when I was introduced to the concept of Amazon. So it was probably like 6-7 months of just going nowhere. And then eventually I found the holy grail of Amazon, you know?
Nice. So have you only done private label, or did you ever get into online arbitrage and wholesale, or only launching your own stuff?
So from the get-go, I've only done private label. It wasn't until my brother started his Amazon FBA journey is when he kind of tapped into the retail arbitrage space. And he was doing that just because he didn't have the capital to launch his product. And I think he was like 18, 19 years old, just ready to do something, but he didn't have kind of the upfront capital to launch a product. So that's when he dove into retail arbitrage. And from his kind of experience and from what he was doing, I dabbled around into it. And what's kind of funny is some of my most viewed videos on YouTube are of me and him going to Costco, to Walmart, and doing a little bit of retail arbitrage. So, I mean, I've done it, but it's nothing that I've been like, I've made a killing on it. Like, I've just done it kind of for fun here and there.
That's so funny because I feel like everybody just loves those videos. For some reason, they do really well. And it's so funny how that actually works because they are pretty entertaining. Yeah.
Yep.
Now, like, when you kind of went around working on kind of starting your brand, what were you thinking about going into it? And, like, how did you get the capital to start?
So that's what's funny is I wasn't thinking. I feel like most people get so in their head and in their thoughts that they think too much and then they just never start. And it does not matter the business model. Like they overanalyze every little thing. And I think in my situation, and I think that this is a blessing in disguise where I didn't really know what to think. I was young. I think I was 20 years old. I was freshly married. Like I got married when I was very young. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And so when I heard about it and I saw other people, I was just kind of oblivious and I was like, hey, well, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it. And I just dove all in and I didn't really even take a second to think about, oh, well, is it too saturated? Is it too competitive? What if I fail? What if this happens? And I just kind of went all in. And so, yeah, that's an interesting question, but I didn't really have many thoughts of like, yeah, I just kind of dove in. But the second question that you asked of the capital, so when I started and started launching, I actually partnered with one of my buddies, and we kind of went in on a few products together. And so instead of me having to front $1,000, $2,000, it was basically 50% of that, and we were able to learn a lot quicker that way. And so that was kind of a great learning process, is just not having to invest as much money and still understand and go through the process. And then the second thing is back then, I wasn't really, obviously I didn't know what I know now. And what I know now, I wouldn't have done what I did back then. So it's, I had so many mistakes and so many issues. And like when I was launching products, like I was ordering maybe a couple hundred units. So I wasn't ordering very much inventory. The products that I was launching, they were like $10, like the retail price was $10. So like my cost per unit is $1. So like if I'm ordering 100 units, 200 units, well, that's only $200 type thing. And so I wasn't necessarily coming out of pocket all that much to kind of learn the process and understand the ins and outs. Unfortunately, I mean, you can still do that right now and go launch a product for less than $1,000. It's just the potential of that going anywhere is not really likely. And even back then, the potential was not very likely either. Like none of those products really stuck or did anything, but I did understand and learn kind of the process to then give me the confidence to go out and spend a little bit more money on future launches.
Interesting. So now that you've kind of learned some of those things, maybe we pique some of the audience interest, like maybe they want to go potentially start a private label brand. How would you go about that now, and how much capital would you put into it realistically?
Yeah, I think having around $5,000 is a good budget to go find the product, to source it, to get the photography done properly, and to launch it. Again, you can get away with less, and it is all subjective on the product itself, because there are products that are more expensive than others. And then there are certain products that have more demand than others. And for your audience, I'm sure people understand looking at the BSR rank, the sales rank, and kind of the sales velocity type thing. Like there's certain products that just sell more than others. And with private label, if you are going after this crazy high selling velocity item, well, you need to order more inventory, which means you're going to have to come out of pocket more money. And so going after maybe a little bit slower selling ASINs, slower selling products, you don't have to invest as much, and that's where you can be a little bit more conservative and not spend maybe that $5,000. Again, on the flip side, there's going to be people that say, oh, you need $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to launch a private label brand. And the thing is, like, all of those answers are correct. Like, there's no right or wrong. Because at the end of the day, like there are certain products that yes do require $50,000-$100,000 to launch, but for me those are not the ones that I'm going after. I'm going after kind of that mid tier, doing $10,000-$20,000 a month in revenue, and with that you can get up off the ground and running with about $5,000.
That's really cool.
It's funny because Josh, when you and I started with our first private label product, I think that's around how much we spent. I think maybe the $2,000 to $3,000.
Yeah, was that for the second one? I remember the first one was on the cheaper side.
For the first
For the
one.
first one?
I think it was.
I thought it was less than that, just because the price point was so low, if I remember correctly.
Maybe but we maybe spent $1,000 to $2,000 max on inventory. Did not go well.
And the thing is that $1,000 to $2,000 though, like you probably learn so much.
Yeah.
And like for $1,000,
100%.
$2,000, you can't pay anybody an amount of money to learn the lessons that you guys learned. So for me, like I've had so many failures, so many ups and downs, and it's because of those failures and throwing a couple thousand here, a couple thousand there has got me to where I'm at currently. And I feel like so many people are so scared to lose a couple $100, $1,000 or $2,000, and obviously we don't want to throw away our money, but like sometimes that's what it takes in order to actually figure things out.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep, it's learning on the job.
100%. I kind of want to talk about cash flow is a big thing in the online arbitrage space, especially in the wholesale space. Talk to us about how cash flow impacts your business in that private label sector.
100%. This is where a lot of people go wrong. Is they launch a product, it starts going well, and they think that they've got it figured out. So they're like, oh, I'm going to launch a second, third, fourth, fifth product. And it's like, okay, you understand that you're going to have the cash flow to actually keep up with that inventory. And so people get a little in over their heads and they start kind of just firing away, launching these products. And then the ones that take off, they're like, oh, well, my money's tied up in this inventory, so now I can't reorder the inventory of the good product that's kind of taking off. So it's definitely important to understand, like, okay, when you go and order your first batch of inventory, if it starts going well, you're going to have to reorder inventory fairly soon after that to just continue with the momentum and keep things in stock. And it's a little bit different with obviously wholesale and OA. You never want to run out of stock, and so making sure that you're not stocking out is an important part. Obviously, every single seller is going to stock out, and that's just kind of part of the game. But cash flow is important, and being able to manage that efficiently so that you don't have those issues is definitely a balancing act. And to be honest, even though I've been in the game for 7+ years, it's still something that I struggle with to this day. It's just very hard to project inventory. And I'm sure it's the same thing with wholesale. Like, hey, should I order 1,000 units? Should I order 5,000? Like, you never know, because then COVID happens and all of a sudden you're out of stock in a matter of a couple weeks, or something goes down and then it's like nothing sells. And so it's just, there's so many variables that like you can't control. And so, yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic and something that's hard to figure out, but yeah, you live and you learn.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about why it's important not to go out of stock as a private label seller, because OA and wholesale sellers are.
Yeah, so with private label, the cool thing with Amazon is there's so many people searching for specific products, and there's so much organic traffic. And when you go and launch a private label product, the whole goal is to get that product to launch to page 1 for whatever keyword. So, I mean, obviously, people that sell wholesale products, they're selling brand name products, so people are searching for those specific brands. But a lot of the products, like, they're no brands, and they search for, like, an iPhone case. I mean, there's thousands of iPhone cases out on the market, and if you can rank organically for the keyword iPhone case, then you just kind of ride that wave at the very top and get all these organic sales. And what happens if you run out of stock is it kind of hurts your ranking, and it lets Amazon know, like, hey, this seller maybe isn't as credible, this seller ran out of stock, and it just kind of slows down the growth of the store a little bit. And so trying to maintain stock and maintain that sales velocity is important so that you don't drop in the ranks and you don't have those issues of losing your page 1 coveted spot. You might drop to page 2. And then once you get back in stock, you have to kind of not necessarily start from scratch again, but you have to kind of go in and push a little bit to get back to that page one spot.
Yeah, I kind of want to talk about that. If you could give us 2 ways that you kind of push back when you do run out of stock, and let's say you do fall to page 2, what are some, maybe like just a couple things that you do to kind of get that rank back?
Yeah, so the first thing, I'm throwing on a fat coupon code. So whether it's 20, 25%, just to kind of get the ball rolling again. And then immediately turn on PPC campaigns immediately and going hard and aggressive with that.
Gotcha.
Depending on your particular product, influencer marketing is phenomenal. And this is where we can kind of dive into maybe some TikTok stuff. But having people that are fans of your product, that promote your product, and being able to say, hey, I need a post, they can post about it, and that will kind of get some traffic going again. But I would say the main thing is, coupon, put on some PPC, and just try to get as many sales as you can. And once you do that, then things kind of start catching back up.
Very interesting.
Can you give a quick crash course on Amazon PPC? Because again, like a lot of our listeners are people from OA, people from wholesale. And so one thing that we're doing in our business and that we're also pushing is if you want to stick in the arbitrage model, trying to work directly with brands, because I'm sure you've seen this, but you haven't dealt with this issue, I would imagine, is a lot of Section 3s have been happening, IP complaints have been happening. People are getting their accounts suspended or deactivated because the product might be legit, but they're not able to prove the supply chain to Amazon, and Amazon doesn't like that. So trying to get a tighter supply chain, and also realizing that Amazon is focusing on legitimate brands and growing brands. But part of working directly with a brand oftentimes means running some advertising for them. And there are a lot of sellers who are just totally clueless when it comes to that. And the only reason we know is because we started in private label. But I think it would be interesting to hear it from your perspective, how you approach PPC.
Yeah, so I've been hearing a lot about brand direct. Obviously, I'm kind of in the loop with a lot of sellers, and hearing brand direct, I actually get excited about that, because I think there is so much power behind that, being able to build that partnership. And if you do have the skill set of being able to manage ads or being able to launch your own brand, so like the skill set that you guys started with, the skill set that I have, it's so easy to go in and plug an awesome brand into those systems, because it's basically the same exact process, other than you don't have to manage, obviously the brand is already built. You don't have to handle finding the supplier and whatnot. It's already established. So it's definitely a great angle that I see a lot of wholesale RA, OA people pivoting to. But in terms of PPC, a crash course in a matter of 60 seconds is going to be difficult. But the first thing that you're looking at, I guess you could go and hire an agency to do it for you. And there's agencies. I actually own an agency where we manage people's advertising. So that would be one solution. But the second
Shameless
solution is just go in and start doing it. There's so many YouTube videos on tutorials. And if you don't actually do it, it's going to be very difficult to learn. But the basics is set up an automatic campaign. Anybody can do this, and it literally will take you 30 seconds to turn on an automatic campaign and just watch it. You obviously want to monitor it. You don't want to just let it run and spend all this money and it not be converting. But Amazon systems are very smart, and if the listing itself is optimized, then Amazon PPC automatic campaigns can perform really well. So an automatic campaign basically is Amazon going in and pulling keywords from your listing, from your title, from your bullet points, from your description. And that's one thing that as a brand direct partner, you should be doing, is optimizing the listings so that you can get ranked for these keywords. Just because they have a good brand presence doesn't mean that there's not other sales to be made on other keywords and other traffic. And so getting a optimized listing, so using tools like Helium 10 or Jungle Scout and getting keywords of the most targeted keywords for your specific product is crucial. Jamming impactful in your title, bullet points, description, then the automatic campaign is just pulling from those. Then there's a manual PPC campaign. So these are just super simple strategies that anyone can do. You pull up the list of keywords, you throw them into a manual exact campaign, and you just watch it. Whatever's not working, turn it off, and whatever is working, keep it going. Then you've got product targeting campaigns. You can target your competitors' products and put your ads on competitors' listing. And so if you find a competitor that you feel like is inferior, has bad reviews, is just launched, those are kind of the things that I'm looking for. You can target your campaigns on your competitor's listing. And then for those that do have a brand direct partnership, this is where, for me, this is my favorite part with PPC is when it comes to brand ads. So there's video ads, and these are the most powerful ads, in my opinion, is you get a little simple 20-30 second video. You could pay somebody on Fiverr you send them 6 images and they'll create a simple slideshow. You'll pay like $30 for this video, and you run PPC video ads, and you can target specific listings, you can target specific keywords, and those are extremely powerful. But the only way that you have that is if you have brand registry, and brand registry is basically unlocked if you have that brand partnership with an actual brand that is trademarked. So anyways, that's kind of a nutshell of PPC and what I would be looking at if I was just starting from scratch.
Guys, for those of
That's fantastic.
Yes. For those of you listening, that was absolute gold. Pause it, rewind, listen to that twice. If you're trying to work with brands or launch a private label brand, listen to that like 2 or 3 times. He just broke it down. Absolutely incredible.
Appreciate
I know
it.
when now I know when me and Kaj were doing private label, the launch is almost the climax of creating a product. You can create a really good product. You can come into the marketplace, but if your launch isn't correct, the pricing's not correct, if you don't not driving traffic, things can go wrong in a hurry, and then you're trying to play the catch-up phase. Talk to us about a couple things that you do to try to ensure that the launching of the product, when it first gets to Amazon, that it goes smoothly.
Yeah, so the first thing is pick the right product. I feel like this will solve 99% of people's problems. Is they go and they launch a product and they're like, oh, it didn't go well. But then when you look at the product, it's like, dude, it sucks. It's terrible. Like, no wonder it didn't launch well. So if you can pick a good product that solves a problem, that fills a hole in the market, that's different, that's unique, well, launching a product becomes literally that much easier. It's not like a cakewalk by any means, but we're talking 10 times easier if you just pick the right product. So that's the first thing. The second thing is along the same lines is once you have a good product, you need to have a good manufacturer. And I see this with so many people. They cut corners. They don't order samples. They get the product and it's broken. It sucks. It's faulty. 1 out of 10 units, the packaging is destroyed or whatever the case may be. And it's like that makes it to where the customer experience is terrible. And what happens is they do well initially because they have a good product, but then it gets into the customer's hands and then they start getting bad reviews, and then it just kind of, it slows things down. So those are kind of the 2 most important things is, hey, pick a good product and get a good quality product manufacturer that can actually produce what you want. So when the customers get it, they're happy, and then it leads to good reviews, and then it just leads to repeat purchases, and it just kind of is that snowball effect. So those are the first 2 things. Then the next thing is when people create a listing, this is very important, especially for private label sellers, and this is also applicable for brand direct. If you go and create a brand new listing from scratch, there's what's called a honeymoon period. And what happens is a lot of people will create this listing and they'll just kind of let it go. And what they don't realize is happening is they're gathering negative sales data with Amazon. So basically, and it might be a little confusing for some, but I'm going to try to simplify this concept. There's inactive, out of stock, there's closed listings, and there's suppressed listings, or there's active listings. So there's 4 different things. Inactive, out of stock is basically the same thing as an active listing. If it says inactive out of stock, that is gathering negative sales data in Amazon's system. But if it's suppressed or closed, that's what you want. So when you go and create a brand new listing, make sure it says either suppressed or closed, and that will help it so that when you launch the product, you're taking advantage of this honeymoon period that we call it, that Amazon has, because in the first like 2 to 3 weeks, Amazon is definitely going to give your product a little bit more exposure and give your product an opportunity to shine. And if it shines, it's going to continue shining and it's going to continue performing. But if it does not do well, then basically Amazon is like, hey, we gave you a shot. It's not what we expected it. And so we're going to kind of deprioritize that and put it down in the ranks. And then it's kind of that uphill battle. So that's another super important key of where new sellers kind of just drop the ball, is that one little tiny thing can really make it so that you're just climbing up this backward escalator to try to get to the top. And then one last thing is optimizing your listing and just setting things up properly. I see so many terrible images. People go and try to take their images themselves with their iPhone, or they try to hire some freelancer on Fiverr for $20 and they try to Photoshop it, and it just doesn't look good. They don't optimize their title, their description, their bullet points and whatnot. And if you don't have that, like, people are going to click on the listing and they're going to immediately be turned off because it's just not very good. So you want to make sure that your listing is set up for conversions. Obviously, there's other things to look at, but those are some very important parts to that launch process.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Top tier info. Hey, quick question again on the launch. How much do you set aside for a PPC budget? And I know it's going to depend on the category, depend on how, competitive the keywords are, but how do you, so I guess it's two parts. How do you determine how much to set aside? And on average, how much do you normally set aside for ads for that launch phase?
It's a good question, and it might sound terrible, my answer, but I just kind of play it by ear, and I'm willing to spend whatever it is, whether that's a couple $100 or whether that's a couple $1,000. Obviously, for the beginner, they want to have like a number kind of set in mind. And it comes back to the product itself. If you can pick that good product, there are very, like, I've done it not every single time, but there are times where you're profitable from day one. And so that PPC money that you're spending, like, you're not really coming out of pocket anything because the product and the profits that you're making are kind of covering it. But I would plan on spending at least $1,000 or two, like a couple thousand, in like you got to be willing to spend at least that amount to give it a fair shot before you say, oh, it's not gonna work. And I do see a lot of new sellers, they'll start and be like, oh, I'm going to do a $10 per day budget. And I'm like, that's great, but that's not that much. And I'll be honest, like, I'm spending like $300-$400 a day, and I'm happily willing to spend that because of the ROI that I'm getting. And if people can understand the concept of, like, you're putting money into a machine to hopefully get money out, it's kind of like legal. I guess it's like gambling in a sense, but a little bit more in your favor because you can actually control the outcome a little bit. Like, you're targeting things specifically. You're not just like clicking a button, crossing your fingers and hoping. Like, if you've done your research right, you're obviously hoping that, hey, if I put $1 in, I'm hoping to get $1 back. And as long as you're strategic about that, that's kind of the most important part.
Gotcha.
100%. Have you sold, or are you considering exiting any of your private label brands, or you want to keep them forever?
I would love to sell one. I have two main brands, and both of them they just have something like tied to me where I like can't let them go type thing. And if I could go back, 2022, 2021, when selling brands were like the peak. That was the peak. I wish I would have sold then. Right now, the multiples and the buyers are a little bit more difficult, and I wouldn't get as much as what I would want. So for me, it makes sense to just kind of keep it. And so we'll see, hopefully in the next maybe couple years, if the opportunity presents itself, absolutely. I'd love to sell one of my brands. And that's one of my kind of favorite things about building a brand is you do have that exit potential to say, hey, I'm done with this. I want to move on to real estate, or I want to do software, or I want to do something different. You always have that option to say, hey, I'm going to sell this and kind of part ways. And in my case, I'd probably sell it and just repeat the process, just because it's fun. It's entertaining to me.
100%.
Yeah, love that.
Okay, I do have a question. If you're gonna run, and if you can't answer this, that's okay. If you're gonna run a new like PPC campaign, just like whatever, like target, basic, automatic, like if you know it, like how long do you run it? If you think it's like not working, do you like shut it off? Because I've heard like an array of numbers. Like it's like I'll like literally wait a day, or it's like 1 week, or it's like 2 weeks. Is there like a specific time frame that you use?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it all depends for me is the amount of clicks that you're getting. If you're getting 10, 12 clicks and there's no conversions, that's a sign that, look, it's just not converting well, like move on. Now, at the beginning of the launch, I might stretch that a little bit more because I don't have the reviews. I'm not as established yet. And if it's a keyword that I feel fits my product, then I'll let it run. But for the most part, if it's not converting within 10 clicks, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm turning this off. I might come back to it later, but I'm going to pause it and stop spending money there because it's just not converting. So for me, it's the conversion rate. It's seeing like, hey, is this converting or not? And if it's not, then like don't spend your money on it.
Gotcha.
And when you say converting, you mean the amount of clicks to orders
exactly
that you're getting.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have 10 clicks, no orders, that's not good. But if you have 10 clicks in one order, that's not terrible. And so, yeah, the lower the clicks that you can get and the more purchases, like the better. And that's obviously where you're going to make more. And PPC is pay per click. So every time somebody is clicking, like you're getting charged. And so that's obviously something to look at. And then one other factor to kind of consider is, let's say I'm selling a product that is $100. Having a little bit higher ticket item gives me a little bit more flexibility when it comes to PPC, because if I'm spending, let's just say $1 per click, well, and I get 10 clicks, that's $10. Well, I still have a decent amount of margin to work with, and I could technically go in and spend another 10, 20 clicks and still be profitable if it led to a conversion. But if I'm selling a product that's $10 and my cost per click is still that same dollar, which like if you sell iPhone cases, like we're talking cost per clicks of like $5-7. So like one click and your profits are wiped. And so going after those like lower ticket items it makes it a little bit more complicated for that reason. And so on a lower ticket product, like that's where you definitely want to monitor that a little bit more strict, because like you can be blowing your margins immediately, and after 5-6 clicks, like you're in the hole $5-6 type thing. And so that's another thing, and a little pro tip that I really have been kind of focused in on is find products that are a little bit more expensive than like $10-20. Again, there's opportunity there, but I like going after a little bit more expensive, like $40, $50, $60, $80, and then it just gives you a little bit more room for PPC spend.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're on the same wavelength. Right now we have one brand we're working with where the average sell price is like $80-$90. And we try not to sell things that are any less than $25 or $30, just because Amazon's always increasing fees. Those fees aren't going down. PPCs get more expensive. You need to have that.
I mean, just the placement fee. I'm sure that's a big thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
that one
if
too.
you're selling a $10 item, a 30-cent placement fee, that's a lot of your margin. And I was actually talking to somebody at not Miami, in Las Vegas, when I went to
ASD.
Yeah, ASD. He was like, yeah, dude, I had this awesome wholesale product. I was just turning units, but as soon as that placement fee, like my margins just didn't make sense, and I had to kind of call it quits. So yeah, definitely strategizing and fees. That's just the name of the game. It's going to happen, and we have to expect it. And that's where we have to kind of make those pivots and adjustments so that when Amazon does increase that or make those changes, like don't be surprised, because it's going to happen.
Yep,
100%.
it's been happening every year for the last 8 years. Now, I'm curious, one question we always ask our guests is what their team looks like. Are you a one-man show? Do you have VAs?
Yeah, great question. So for me and my private label brands, it basically is just me. I mean, I have some virtual assistants that will help with like my listings. I have a great team actually based in China that does all my product photography. So like I have people that are doing a lot of work for me, but they're not necessarily like my team. They're, I guess, agencies or freelancers. So I have quite a few people that, like, if I need something, like I've got the contact to say, hey, I need this done, this done, this done, and I do it. So I definitely am outsourcing, but I don't necessarily have anybody internal on my private label like team. But when it comes to my other companies, with the agency, with the consulting, with the software, we definitely have, and it's crazy that I have way more team members there than on my 7-figure ecom brand. Like, it's just crazy to think that that's the case, but it is what it is. We definitely have a lot of VAs. We have a lot of people in-house, and it's way more complicated than selling products. So that is one thing to note that people don't quite realize. Like, they see what I do on like YouTube or with the agency or whatever, and it's like, that business is way more complicated. I love it. I enjoy it. Like, it's great cash flow. But there's way more headaches involved than my private label brands, where it's just me and I don't have to deal with anyone.
How many LLCs do you have?
One too many. I probably I probably have, and this is a little pro tip for you guys, that if you are in a boat where you guys are opening up multiple entities, multiple LLCs, what you gotta do is create a holding company. And this holding company is going to then own the LLCs, and all the LLCs will funnel into this holding company. The holding company is set up to be an S corp, and that holding company is going to pay you a payroll. And just by structuring it like that, you're giving yourself separation from the businesses, less liability, and then also there's amazing tax benefits. So that's a great way to kind of structure that. And so that's how I have things structured. And I think in total, like, not exaggerating, I probably have 8 to 10 LLCs between all the businesses that are kind of operating. And it gets very complicated. And when I read
sure
it structured like that, it was a nightmare. And so another kind of, I'm not a tax advisor, but this is just over the years, you kind of learn this stuff. When you set it up to have the holding company and then the LLCs funnel into it, what's nice is the LLCs just issue a K1 to the holding company. So you're not filing 20 million tax returns for 20 different businesses. It makes it so much more seamless of a process. And so since I've restructured that, probably the last, 4 years, taxes have got a little bit easier. It's still never easy. Taxes are just annoying. But yeah, I've definitely kind of shot myself in the foot a few times, and I still do, with having the shiny object syndrome of like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's definitely fun. And I find like joy, like just doing it. And so, yeah, that's what I'm most passionate about, is just building businesses and starting something from scratch and seeing it grow. Like, there's nothing better than that.
My man is a true entrepreneur.
That indeed.
Ask Josh how many reels he sent me about different tax structures for businesses.
So many. So many.
Because
it's
we're
crazy.
kind of at that point too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From
we're at that point.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. No, legit.
Yeah.
Legit. Well, we're at that point now where we're looking into how do we set up multiple LLCs, get into the S corp, because we've just been operating with the one business, but now we're kind of getting our hands in different things and looking at some other things as well. So we'll probably within the next year end up doing something similar to what you have, so that we don't have that crazy tax situation.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, and then another thing for me, like at the very beginning, I had my Amazon brand LLC that was basically operating business for everything. So like it was doing the selling, it was doing the consulting, it was doing the agency, it was doing the affiliate marketing, it was doing the social media. And it's like, that's not good, because if one issue is wrong, then you're dragging the entire entity along with it. And then taxes are a nightmare. And then if you want to sell a company, having all these assets under one is very difficult. So it definitely is the most annoying thing that I wish there was a simpler process. Like for me, I wish there was just a flat tax rate. And it's like, hey, just tax me 15% or whatever, no write-offs, no nothing. I don't have to calculate my books. Whatever comes into my bank account, I just pay you this, and it's done. But the whole like taxes and bookkeeping and entity structure and all that seriously is just like it sometimes like I want to rip out my hair because it's that annoying, but it's just a necessary evil type thing.
Yeah, it's the name of the game. It's the name of the game.
Yeah, it's almost like that
Okay,
one
so
like Alex Hormozy quote where he's like, "If something is hard, I'm actually happy as it gets harder because that means less people are gonna do it." And it's like that is just like, dude, the tax structure. That's like one thing where I'm like, whoever has a business in that category, like you guys are doing things right because that
Yep.
stuff is challenging for sure.
Yep. Yep. And again, guys, if you're listening, absolute gold nuggets. We are not CPAs. Talk to your CPA before you do anything, but let the wheels turn and try and figure out how to get creative on the structuring side of your business.
Yeah.
So let's pivot into the affiliate marketing side of things. We got the what's the word I'm looking for? The crash course in the private label and the advertising. But like you said, you've got 9 LLCs, and I guess today we're only going to cover 1.5 of them. But talk to us about the progress that you, and I know your brother's into it as well from the presentation you guys gave at MSC, but about the Amazon influencer program, TikTok shop influencer, like all that stuff.
Yeah, so this is one of the greatest opportunities that I've seen in a really long time. So I've done traditional affiliate marketing that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, where it's like, hey, you build an audience, you partner with whether it's a course seller, an agency, or a software company, and you promote links, and then you get a little kickback for every sell that you drive. So that's been a business model that's been around for decades. It works great. It's very profitable, but it does take a lot of time and effort to get that up off the ground and running. But with what's called the Amazon Influencer Program, and same with the TikTok Shop Affiliate Program, it is very different, where you can literally start making money in a span of, we're talking a couple days, with very, very little effort. So what Amazon basically rolled out is this program where anybody can sign up. There are certain kind of requirements to become eligible and certain approval processes, but for the most part, anybody can do this. We've helped over 400 people get approved and go through this process. But what you do is you sign up for an account, and then you go and make simple 60-second review videos of a product that is sold on Amazon. So whether you bought it on Amazon, whether you bought it at Walmart, whether you bought it at Target, it does not matter. Whether it's at your friend's house or your neighbor's house, like as long as it's sold on Amazon, you can make a video about it. So what we've been doing is we're talking between me and my family. We have 11 people doing this in our family. We have over 10,000 videos, and we're just cranking these things out. And every time that you upload the video, it goes to the Amazon product listing. So you tag the product, and it gets displayed on the listing itself. So if you guys have ever shopped on like desktop or mobile, like when you go to the images and you scroll through, there'll be a little video icon. And if you click on those videos, there'll be videos that people like me are posting. And this is where it's just like, it's crazy that this is even a thing. So you don't have to drive any traffic. You're literally leveraging Amazon's existing traffic. You upload these videos, and if somebody watches that video and then buys the product, you get a commission. And we already know that Amazon is a juggernaut. And I mean, between OA sellers, wholesale sellers, private label sellers, we're doing what? Millions a second, probably millions every hour. And so you're literally taking that existing traffic and you just place these videos on the product listing, and you just rake in these commissions, and it's seriously the easiest side hustle I've ever seen. And it's kind of crazy that it's even a thing. Like, I don't even know how Amazon is paying out these people. Obviously because they're increasing fees, so they've got money to pay out these influencers. But it's a really cool model that requires no startup capital, doesn't require really any risk, and it's fail-proof. Like, literally, if you just put in the work and upload videos, you will make money guaranteed. And it sounds like every time when I talk about it, it always seems like this too good to be true type business, and it's like, oh, this guy's scamming me, and it's like, and I'm like, no, it really is not. And like, we have thousands of people to back it up, and it's not just me. Like, there's so many people that are taking advantage of it, and it's really this kind of unknown, kept secret side hustle that like people think is too good to be true, so they just don't do it. But it works amazing.
I think the part that a lot of people are going to let go in one ear and out the other is that you said combined you guys have uploaded 10,000 videos. Right, so it's not just make one video on one product and you're gonna start making $1,000 a month. It does take work, but you like you said, you don't have that startup cost.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
And 10,000 videos does seem like a lot, but like when I break down the numbers, like it takes me like 5 minutes per video. So that's filming it, that's uploading it, that's tagging the product, putting the title and everything. So it's not like you're spending hours of production on these videos. Like you literally take your phone, you film it. I don't do any edits. I don't do any cuts. I just grab a product and I start talking about it. And so like you can crank out these videos like very quickly. So like my brother and I, we were actually on a family vacation. We were at an Airbnb and we were having, it was basically this family reunion. And in 24 hours, as we were still hanging out, we were playing spike ball, playing volleyball, cornhole, all that fun stuff, having a good time. Me and him did 100 videos in 24 hours. So like as we were still hanging out with family. So like when people say, oh, it's too hard or it takes too much time, it's like it really doesn't, because I'm like if I can do 100 videos in a day, well, like you put in that much work for 30 days straight. Well, now you've got 3,000 videos basically, and you're off to the races, and you could literally just throw in the towel, sit back, relax, and you're literally raking in passive income every single day without lifting a finger. So it definitely does require work, and I love that point because there's no such thing as like, hey, don't work and you make all this money. That's just not how it is. And if there is an opportunity like that, I'd love to hear it. I don't know of anything yet. That's where it becomes too good to be true. But yeah, you definitely have to put in the work to see the results.
So if somebody wanted to, like, let's just say you had to give one piece of advice, like, so let's say someone wanted to start this Amazon influencer program, they get ungated, like, what would be like your goal for them on number of products to review a day for, let's just say, like the first like week or two?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to, shamelessly plug my software company, if that's okay, because this
Totally
is literally
fine.
my strategy. So we actually created a software for Amazon influencers. It's called Viral View. And what I tell my students and anybody that gets into it is you download this Chrome extension. It's $39 a month, and you can go in and scan your entire order history. So you basically scan all of your products that you have purchased on Amazon, and it will tell you which products have the most potential to review. So there's definitely strategy on the products that you want to review and not review. And so what you can do is, if you're limited on time, you can say, hey, I'm going to scan this. I'm going to find the 20 best products, and I'm going to review these first because these ones are going to have the most potential. And if you do these videos first, that's where you're going to get the biggest return and start seeing results quicker. And so you can scan your entire order history. And what's crazy is in the last 3 years, I have over 1,200 purchases on Amazon. It's kind of embarrassing to even admit to that. But once we built out the software, I started scanning.
That's wild.
Do I really have 1,200 purchases? This is terrible. But anyway, so like I have 1,200 products around my house or somewhere. Like maybe some of them I've gifted to people and whatnot. But like I've got a lot of products around my house that I was able to scan, see what has the most potential, and then review those. And then from there, you do the same thing. You go to your mom's house. You scan your mom's order history. You go to your brother's house. You scan their order history. And that's like the easiest and quickest way to just kind of get the best products out of the way. And then from there, there's strategies on getting brand deals. There's strategies on just going in and reviewing the most expensive products. So if a product is selling for more than $100, you might as well review it, because if you make one sell, you might make $5, $10 bucks for one video. And 5 minutes of work to make $5, that's not bad. That's $1 a minute. Like I'd take that all day long. And so those are some different things to kind of look at, but that would be the first thing, is find the most potential, start there, and then kind of work your way backwards, and just use your time as efficiently as possible.
I absolutely
Very
love
nice.
that. And we'll link that software in the description too.
Appreciate it.
Now, I'm assuming with a product that has potential, it's going to be similar to like OA or wholesale, where it's like we're looking for something in high demand in low supply.
Yep.
And when I say high demand, people are buying it. Low supply, not a lot of people have put reviews on it. Because there are going to be some products, and I've seen this, where it's like, okay, there's already, the reviews are maxed out. No more reviews are getting in that top carousel, but you're looking for a product that maybe is a little bit more niche. And there's no, like, if you can get a product that's selling 1,000 times a month and you're the only review on it, you're just going to rake cash.
Yep. It's seriously, if you can figure out that, and he mentioned top carousel, I'll just real quickly go over that. So there's a top carousel. So this is where like your images are, and as you scroll through the images, the videos are shown. So that's top carousel. And then there's what's called bottom carousel. So as you scroll down to the description, there's videos under there. It will say videos related to this product. And those are also videos that can be shown up. And so if you can find a product that's selling a lot that don't have those spots like basically taken, then yeah, you're going to be the only one there. And as long as one person clicks on that and buys it, like you're going to, rake in the money and just get these daily commissions. And it's kind of fun to see how the program has evolved over the last like year and a half. Like it used to be like, hey, just review anything and everything and just go for it. But now it's like, hey, you got to be a little bit more strategic about it. Just as OA has evolved, as wholesale has evolved, like that's just kind of the nature of business. Is people get a little bit smarter. People start now developing new strategies and just like there's just more to it. So yeah, that's definitely a huge key component to really scaling to that next level.
Yeah, 100%. I could talk to you all day and keep asking questions. Josh, did you have any other questions on the influencer side of things before we start to land the plane?
I think that's kind of cool that you kind of talk about all this stuff, and your software also doesn't allow you to scan other individuals who do reviews to see if they have any good products that you might maybe want to pick up on Amazon and potentially review as well.
Yeah. So what's cool is we built the software just out of pure necessity. There's a few other softwares in the space, but they, like, again, not bagging on them at all. Like every company is great, but they just don't have the features that I wanted. And they were kind of gimmicky and they didn't really have any purpose or utility behind them. And so that's when I'm like, hey, we have like the case study, we have the experience, and we just need to go build it. And so yeah, that was one where you can go scan somebody else's storefront, see what's working for them, what products they're reviewing, get ideas from them. And it's kind of like I know there's softwares, and I don't know if this is a thing anymore, but for OA where you can like storefront stock. And like you can find other people's like storefronts and say, hey, they're doing well. Like, let's just track this and see like what they're ordering so we can go kind of do something similar. And exactly. So you're able to kind of leverage, these softwares that really help you get an inside look and really give you that competitive edge over your competition. So yeah, scanning your storefront, that's a huge feature. Understanding where you're ranked in the carousels, that will tell you where you're ranked or not. And if there's a good potential product that you're not ranked in top carousel, there's a strategy of what's called re-reviewing. So you can re-review a product multiple times, and as you re-review it, it'll give you more chances to kind of either take up more space on top carousel, or it'll help you get to top carousel. And I've seen this so many times where like my commissions, like a lot of commissions that I'm making are of products that I'm re-reviewing, and it allows me to kind of take over that top and bottom carousel. So there's tons of cool features, and it's been really fun. And obviously we're launching new features basically every single day, but it's definitely been a kind of a secret weapon over the last couple months when nobody's really known about it, which is kind of cool.
That's really dope. I love that. All right, I have one final closing question. If Josh, you didn't have another one.
I'm good. The floor is yours.
All right. Tell me about your Cybertruck.
Oh, this is the best question of the entire podcast. It's funny. There are people that either love it or hate it. Like, there's not really anybody, like, there might be a few people that are kind of in between, but it's so funny. Like, most people, it's either they love it or they hate it. And I've posted a few videos on like TikTok and on Instagram, and it is so funny to hear how much people just hate it and get pissed that I'm driving something that Elon Musk created and it's a scam. And I'm like, I don't know why people hate Elon Musk so much. It's very fascinating to me. But obviously he's doing something right. It is a very unique design. But with that being said, once you drive it, like I tell everyone, like, look, you can hate it all you want, but until you drive it, don't talk. Because driving that thing is absolutely insane. It is fast and it turns and handles better than any car I've ever driven. And so just off of those things, like I'm driving this massive truck that drives like a normal Tesla, that drives like a normal sports car, and that just doesn't make sense to me, and that's why I love it. And it's also the fact that it's different. I was actually on baby duty, why we had to delay this podcast an hour. But I went to, there's some outlets just down by my house, and me and my son, we roll up in the Cybertruck, and there's like 10 people that get out, and they're like, what is this thing? And they're like asking all these questions, taking pictures. Kids are jumping in the front seat. Like they're just like, people love it. And then there's other
It looks like it's out of a movie.
It seriously is. Like it's crazy. And then it doesn't help that I wrapped it in purple to even draw that much more attention. But yeah, that's a great question. Anyways, I could talk about the Cybertruck for a long time. It's a fascinating car. We'll see if I make history, like I'm part of history, or if it's just a big flop. I don't know. But it's definitely been very fun and entertaining over the last couple of weeks that I've had it.
That's
Absolutely
funny that you say that, because I saw one today as I was working, and I had to stop, and I like watched it the whole way, and I was like, you know, that's pretty sick. That is very cool.
It's definitely grown on me. When they first announced it, I was like, are you really, like, this is seriously what he's launching? Like, this thing seems like it's from outer space or from another planet. And the more that I see it, I'm like, you know what? It's kind of cool. It's kind of different. It's unique. And again, people can dislike it or not. And that's what makes the world go round. Exactly. If everybody did wholesale, if everybody did OA, if everybody did private label, it wouldn't work. And that's where, like, that's just what makes the world go around, and what makes America great is people can have their opinions, and whether it's good or bad.
Absolutely. Now, Trevin, where can people go find you on the internet?
Yeah, if you go, just type in Trevin Peterson, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Google, you'll be able to find me pretty easy. Trevin, and then Peterson with an SON. I know a lot of people call me Kevin or Trevor, but it's Trevin, and you'll be able to find me.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, everybody, thanks for listening. If you found value during this episode, give Ecom Unlimited a like and follow, and to stay updated on all of our new episodes, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.